Alright, so today I've been wanting to do this video for a while. I've used a whole lot of book services, and by a whole lot I mean 8. So I just kind of wanted to talk about my experience with each of these services, and I'll give a little run through of what each of them are. Everybody knows most of these anyway, but I'm just going to give my personal experience. And it's not in any kind of order, it's just kind of randomized. So I'm just going to start with the first one. Book Outlet. Right off the bat, horrible. And not just once, but twice. It's a very popular site meant for reused books, and you can tell that they are because they come with this dot on the bottom pages, and it's a Sharpie that lowers the quality in order to resell it. And that's not a problem for me. Like, I am totally willing to buy a book for like 90% off if it has one little Sharpie mark on it. Like, that's no big deal for me. The prices are really good. Like, I'm talking $1 to $3 for books, and really good ones too. New releases, popular titles. You know what $40 can buy? Or hell, even $70? I think I spent about $70 to $80 each time, and I ordered around 40 books. And now, usually when you see something that's too good to be true, it usually is, right? I live in Louisiana, so I don't know if this is just a thing for my certain post office or something, but every time my packages go through like Tennessee or Baton Rouge before coming to me, they end up like devastated. I don't know what happened, but when I got the first package, it was all tore up, and the tape was like opened and retaped, and there was like 16 to 20 books missing. Now that has never happened to me before. If it was just like one or two, I'd say whatever. Maybe they just forgot one, or I ordered wrong or whatever. But I was kind of freaking out because this stuff doesn't happen to me. My packages have never been tampered with before. You know, I had the packing slip inside, thank God. And I started checking off the ones that were in there and the ones that were not. I had some like anxiety about having to do some air quote complaining because I don't like to do that. I'm not that guy. I'm one of those people that if you get ketchup instead of mustard, like, do I bring it back? Nah, I just eat it, you know what I mean? So I started having these thoughts like, what if they don't believe me? Like, I just can't really say, hey, I didn't get half the books I paid for, and expect them to just take my word on it, right? But fortunately, whoever I talked to wanted a list of what I didn't get. So I listed it down, and they were like, cool. They were just going to send them to me in a second package. So I was so relieved and grateful. You know, thank you. And it's not even the value. Like, I'm not worried about the money or whatever. I really wanted those books. So it's a bit disappointing when over half of them didn't make it. So I waited as the second package came through. And guess what? Same exact result. The box was retaped. Half of them were missing from the second replacement. So this time, you know what? I said, screw it. I ain't going to deal with that again. I don't know if there's some kind of book thief out there specifically targeting these packages specifically, but it's twice. Okay, it can't be a coincidence this has happened with this site specifically and no one else. So no, I put that site on my blacklist and I never looked back. Yeah, so word of warning, if it's too good to be true, then it probably is. Okay, next up, TBR. I love the idea of this service. Fill out a survey and you tell them what you like and don't like, and they have specific bibliographers, which I didn't even know that was a thing, but they pick out books that you might like based off of that survey. Sounds cool, right? You can get it in several formats, like a digital email recommendation where they just tell you some books you might like, a paperback or hardback. But for the price that it costs, I'm not really going to pay someone just to tell me 3 books that I might like when I have a whole TBR anyway that I still haven't read. So if I was going to try it, I wanted to at least get physical copies. And I can't remember at the time that I signed up, but I don't think they had paperback options. I could be wrong, but they do have that option now, and it's cheap. And it's cheaper than whatever the hell I paid for. I think I paid like $100 for 3 hardcover books, and it was like every so often or something. I don't know. I don't remember. The price was fine with me though, because the mystery is exciting. Now, the only slight issue that I did have was with my actual results. In my survey, for some reason that I can't see anymore when I try to go back and look at. I don't know if they did away with that or you have to be an active subscriber to see it, but I put something like I didn't want any YA stuff. I wanted more male heroes because I was tired of the, I'm not like the other girl stuff. I said I liked something like The Witcher and The Wheel of Time, and I didn't want politically driven books. I just wanted to be entertained. So this is what I got. I couldn't even finish Night of the Raven, Dawn of the Dove, What's cool about it is that it's very Indian inspired, but it's about a 15/16-year-old girl who is a commander of the royal army and a personal trainer who is better than all of the king's assassins. So yeah, you see where I'm going with this? She has drama with the prince, of course, and another faction that she needs to get revenge on. And most of it is her about hating on men. There's a lot of, I'm the head leader of the royal army, even though I'm not old enough to drink yet. And I'm a female. I can take all these men with my hands tied behind my back and blindfolded. Did I mention I'm a girl? So yeah, no. Okay. So irritating. Now, the other pick, Electra. I did not expect to love that one as much as I did. It's about 3 females, all based on the Odyssey, except it's told from the women's point of view. And I know right off the bat, I got frustrated because I'm like, this is the opposite of what I asked for. I asked for male leads and you give me 3 women. That's 3 times over what I asked for. Despite that, it still actually ended up being amazing, like a 5-star read, because it shows how civilians are affected by the heroes of the stories and how the villains are looked down on even though they're justified. I did like it because I think Greek myths were also on my like list because I like to explore other cultures, which is the part I did enjoy about the other book. So I was able to look past the fact that they picked out the opposite of what I asked for, except that it happened 2 out of 3 times already. So I just now started the 3rd book, and the size of it intimidated me. I was impressed that they sent such a big book for the price. So far, it tends to lead towards the Magic Academy genre, which again is not my favorite. It's about few people with magic gifts and powers that are all in unfortunate situations for some reason. One is a young woman, like 15 or so, who's having to flee home after being assaulted. And she ends up taking care of this magical orphan she finds. I'm thinking, why can't we just open with her finding the baby? Like, why does it have to be about rape, Another is a guy who's on the receiving end of racism. And I'm getting Babel flashbacks here. Like the book is leaning more towards politics with the underlining theme of magic. So far, it almost feels like someone went out of their way to give me the opposite of what I asked for. And I'm very confused about it. I almost feel like the dude thought, hey, you're a female. I bet you like these books no matter what you say. But for some reason, I still like the service. I like the idea of it. And the only reason I haven't continued trying more is because I just didn't finish the books yet. They got lucky hitting 1 out of 3. And I wonder if it was just my fault in the way that I filled out the survey. And I never mind trying something new. So I would definitely try it again, maybe alter my survey a little bit and see what I get next time. So as far as TBR goes, I'm going to say not mad, just disappointed. Okay, I want to talk about Goodreads. Why is there such a problem with it? Everyone's been complaining about it lately, but it's still my go-to of books. And I think a lot of it is because there's a lot of drama and controversy with the people who are involved in it. But aside from that, I tried other sites to track books on, but the UI and the homepages of those just all felt kind of janky. It's just so easy on Goodreads to click add progress, and that's really the only reason I use this site. And to get quick book info like page numbers or publishers. It also has nice author pages that you can check out, see, interact with, see what they're up to, recent releases. And I can easily track my TBR and ratings to sort or reference back to. Maybe I wouldn't trust the reviews 100% since they are all community ran and based. But aside from some rare controversial books, I think it's safe to get a good average roundabout. So I don't know. I don't use any of this extra stuff. I don't really use myself, but it's cool when I look up for something like a specific theme and there are lists made about it. It's hard to trust those because they all have like the same 10 books on all of them. Like you'll see Harry Potter and Twilight on every list, but you might find 1 or 2 books that you didn't know. There's quizzes, there's quotes, they do giveaways. I like the challenges, and I like the end of the year stats they give you. You can also see what everybody else is up to in the community. I don't know. I mean, I just don't know why there's such a huge problem with it, besides the fact that it's run by Amazon. So, I don't know. I'm gonna just go mid-vibes, because I don't really have a problem with it. The next one that a lot of people don't really know that about, Down the Rabbit Hole. This is great. I never see people talk about this one. And it could be because the context could be a bit much for some people. This is one of those loot boxes. This is like the first one of those loot boxes that I'm going to talk about, but this one's based around darker books. So it's not as popular as the fantasy/romance ones. Sure, but I'm not gonna lie, like all the books I get from here have been basically 5-star reads. It's a refreshing palate cleanser when I want something quick in between my fantasy reads, and for fans of like Stephen King or Agatha Christie, you just can't be disappointed. Of course, you can always get one-time boxes if you really like the theme or just want to spoil yourself without subscribing, and you get a bunch of little items related to the book. The quality of the items ain't that great compared to the other boxes, but you could still get stuff like socks, candles, fake jewelry, bookmarks, hats, and pins, but there are more novelty items instead of just collectibles. And what I really love most about this box is the way that it baits you into reading. Unlike the other boxes where you just open it up and get everything, this one's curated towards like rewarding yourself for reading. You don't get to open the gifts until you read through the book, and then as you read through it, there will be post-it notes saying, okay, open gift number whatever, and it'll relate to something on the page. It's really cool, and it keeps me reading so like I can hurry up and get to the rewards. And I mean, yeah, you can always just cheat, sure, but it feels really good when you do it the right way. So I wish the other boxes would take hint of this method, because I would read them a whole lot faster. For Down the Rabbit Hole, I'm gonna do 8. Yeah, that's an A for me, dog. Okay, now we're getting into the more popular boxes, and so we have to talk about Owlcrate. Owlcrate is one of the more famous ones, and I always had this feeling that it just geared more towards children for some reason, but they seem to have changed their audience since then and opened more to general readers. The website even looks a little different. I was never a fan of YA anyway, so the books always kind of let me down even though they're extremely pretty. It took me a while to realize that I wasn't going to like most of the books I got sent, even though I just kept ordering them. Their exclusive editions are always gorgeous, and it feels professional when you open their box. The gifts are really cool too, like you get the works, same as before, candles, household items, pins. The only reason I stopped was because I was just spending way too much on boxes of books that I wasn't even reading. And as cool as the items are, I never used any of them. I have to say the theme pins were my favorite, but now that they have an adult option, I might have to reconsider because they didn't used to have that. It used to be just YA and something else. Still, Owlcrate was just like okay for me. It's still fun to get one every month, but I had to let it go. So we have to talk about Fae Crate. That's another one that just started offering multiple choices. It used to be kind of like Owlcrate, where it was strictly YA-ish, and it just had a book or book and loot options. Their shirts are really gorgeous. They just weren't me. It almost felt too nerdy to like be wearing around, even though they were gorgeous. And like, because if people don't know where the quotes are from, they sound really out of box. But their books are the real bait for me. I think they have the prettiest editions, but I didn't know any of the fandoms for the loot I was getting. I don't read YA, so each like feature and item didn't excite me like it normally would for fans of those series. And I didn't want to pay that high price of like $40-50 a month just for one single pretty book, because shipping is so high too now. $7 plus, $7 to $12. Aside from that, I mean, I love the items. I just never used them either. I kept getting them and they just kept sitting there and piling up in a box until I decided like, okay, I have to stop this service too. But I am ecstatic that they also are starting to offer an adult option, and I still fall for those emails because they bribe me back with these pretty sets. That's one thing that they do well that the others don't, is that they curate these hangover options based around a certain popular book or series. And that has gotten me a few times, I will admit. And I like how they always come with special author notes and signed editions. But the only reason I really use Fae Crate anymore is for the special sets or the hangover stuff. Alright, now we have to talk about my favorite book box, which is, the Broken Binding. This is my favorite, but eventually I got around to canceling all these services except for this one. Their books are so gorgeous. I even opened a few on here. They're all numbered and they have special artwork on the end papers. They're signed, and they cater specifically towards fantasy and sci-fi, which is all right up my alley. They don't offer a loot thing though, like it's just a book and a bookmark. But the wait list is extremely long and it goes by series. So like when you subscribe, they let you know ahead of time what series you're going to do. And if you choose to go through with it, you're locked into that series, which is usually a trilogy, until it's over. So that's one book in the series each month. So if you're waiting, you could be waiting like at least 3 months for them to cycle through a series and see if somebody drops out before the next one starts. This can be a bit frustrating because if you're like me, I joined sometime around when the Gunmage series started and I already had the books, but I was thinking that if I didn't get in now when I had the chance, I might not have another chance in the future. So I went through with it even though I had the books already, just because I couldn't wait for another opening. But I was so glad that I did though, because the books were gorgeous. I immediately unhauled those other basic bitch books that I already had in Lamau. I was a member for a long time too, maybe a year or two. The only reason I had to stop, unfortunately, was because they're based in the UK. Shipping. So just shipping here alone to the US almost doubled the price of what I was paying for, which was a luxury purchase for the service of just a single book. It normally would have costed me about $25 to $30, but it was costing me almost $80 after shipping and taxes. And as gorgeous as these books are, I can't justify swinging that every month for a single book. I'm so sad. But if it just weren't for the shipping, I'd be on it all day, like for real. All right. And last up, and definitely not least, we have PangoBooks. This is a great service, but it's so obscure. It's too bad that this site isn't more well known yet, but it should be. It's a place to resell your books, but it's a marketplace simply for selling and buying your used books. And it does exactly that. I mean, I've sold most of my books on here. The only issue is that it's basically self-run, so when someone buys your stuff, you have to ship it out yourself, just like you would on eBay or any other site. So if you're not really savvy with that, it might scare you off. Also, the downside is that you can only manage your store and add listings through the app on your phone. That really irritates me, that I can't get on the computer and manage my shop, but yet you can buy from your computer. What kind of sense does that make? Also, when you upload, the picture that you take at the moment is the one you get. You can't like take one separately and upload it. You create the listing with that picture and then you can add more pictures later. It's weird, but it's not a deal breaker. The things I do love way outpower the things I don't. It recognizes authors regularly and it gives you updates and deals and incentive to buy things like coupons, and shop owners can make their own deals or percentages that they want to mark off, free shipping, the usual stuff. If you're also a content creator, you can partner up with them and get a reward if people use your link. And no, I'm not one, so don't think I'm trying to sell you anything. I'm way too small for that. But there are people who are into that, and that's cool because it brings more traffic, which is more people to the site, which is more people trying to buy your books. Aside from the app only restriction, my other complaint is just competing with the general market. If you don't list your book for as low as everyone else does, it'll never be bought because they always sort by cheapest first. I mean, I do. So if you list it for $5 and there's 10 others selling it for $2, that ain't getting sold anytime soon unless you're willing to lower the price to match the competition. So you probably won't see a huge return on what you spent to get the book, but you might get at least, half your money back by selling it. Better than just sitting on your shelf forever, right? And something else I do really love is that when you get paid, easily by the way, you can just withdraw it if you want to, but you can also keep it in your account and what they call PangoBooks, and then you can rebuy books with that store credit, essentially getting some for free, or it feels like a trade. You're trading in one of your old books so you can get a new one for free, and you get a small bonus of cash back if you buy a book using that cash instead of just withdrawing it. So it's been an easy way for me to acquire books without really having to buy any. Instead of like $30 on Amazon, I can just use some of the cash I get from selling the other books to get it for like half that on Pango used. And you can help out another seller by buying their used book, and you get a small bonus of cash back. So that's really cool. It's one of my new favorite sites to sell. So there we are. I just wanted to share some of my general experience with these services, and like I said, I'm not hating on any of them. Maybe I just had really bad luck when it comes to a few of these, and the other ones are just meant for a different audience maybe. I don't know. I do love all of these services, and I bet there's a whole lot more out there that people just don't know about. Every reader's preferences are different. There's no doubt about that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.